Good evening, viewers. Welcome to the Forgotten Page Age channel. Today we'll be looking at the Garamantes Empire, the desert civilization that turned the Sahara into a garden. Today, the Sahara Desert is the largest hot desert on Earth. It stretches across millions of square kilometers, where scorching temperatures, endless dunes, and scarce rainfall make life extraordinarily difficult. Yet, 2000 years ago, deep within this unforgiving landscape, a civilization achieved something that seems almost impossible. They built cities, they cultivated vast farms, they supported thousands of people, and they did it without rivers, modern pumps, or advanced machinery. This was the Garamantes Empire, one of the most remarkable and least understood civilization in ancient history. But their greatest achievement wasn't military power or wealth, it was their ability to pull water from beneath the desert itself. In many ways, the Garamantes were not merely surviving the Sahara, they were engineering it. Let's check some of the picture of the Garamantes Empire. The Garamantes Empire, the Garamantes Empire, some of their picture and their houses then. The structure that has been destroyed. Some of the old structure of the Garamantes Empire. Some of the remains of the structure of the Garamantes Empire. The civilization hidden beneath the sun. For centuries, ancient Greek and Roman writers mentioned a mysterious people living far beyond the Mediterranean world. These people inhabited the Fezzan region of the modern day Libya. To outsiders, their existence seems almost unbelievable. How could a thriving kingdom exist in one of the driest places on earth? Archaeologists would later discover that the Garamantes were far more sophisticated than ancient writers realized. Their capital, Garama, was a bustling urban center filled with homes, markets, cemeteries, workshops, administrative buildings. At its height, the city may have supported thousands of inhabitants. What made this possible was a revolutionary water system hidden underground. This is the water system that was hidden underground. the, the water system that was hidden underground in the desert. And then these are some of the water system that they dug. The secret beneath their feet. Most ancient civilizations settled near rivers. Egypt had the Nile. Mesopotamia, Mesopotamia had the Tigris and the Euphrates. The Garamantes had neither. Instead, they tapped into fossil water buried beneath the Sahara. This water had accumulated thousands of years earlier during the wetter climatic period. The Garamantes developed extensive underground tunnels known as fogaras. These tunnels stretched for miles beneath the desert surface. Using gravity alone, they transported water from underground aquifers to distant settlements and agricultural fields. Imagine standing in the middle of a Sahara nearly 2000 years ago and seeing orchards, wheat fields, vineyards, and dates, palms, groves flourishing where only sands should exist. That was the achievement of the Garamantes, a forgotten agricultural revolution. One aspect of one aspect often overlooked in popular history is that the Garamantes may represent one of humanity's earliest examples of large scale environmental engineering. They didn't merely use natural resources, they redesigned their environment. Archaeological evidence suggests they cultivated wheat, barley, grapes, dates, figs, olives. This transformed the Sahara from an obstacle into an economic engine. Food surpluses supported population growth. Trade expanded. Cities flourished. The Garamantes accomplished something that modern desert nations still struggle to achieve. Sustainable agriculture is one of the harshest climate on earth. Example of the agricultural produce that were cultivated by the Garamantes people in the desert. They have palm trees and all. The Sahara was not always a barrier. One fascinating insight often missing from documentaries is that the Garamantes helped transform the Sahara into a network of connection rather than a wall of separation. Many people imagine the Sahara as a barrier dividing North Africa from sub Saharan Africa. The Garamantes saw it differently. Their settlements became strategic hubs linking distant culture and trade routes. Caravans across the deserts carrying gold, salt, ivory, precious stones, exotic animals, textile, long before famous trans-Saharan empire like Mali and Songhai emerged, the Garamantes were already building economic bridges across Africa. They helped establish trade corridors that would shape the continent for centuries. The civilization that challenged Rome. The Garamantes were not isolated desert farmers. They became powerful enough to attract the attention of Rome. Roman record described them as skilled warriors who used horses drawn chariots to move rapidly across desert terrain. Unlike Roman armies, which depended heavily on roads and supply lines, the Caramantes understood the desert intimately. They could strike quickly and disappear into the vast Sahara. Several Roman campaigns attempted to control or influence Garamantes' territory, yet the empire survived for centuries. Its mastery of the environment gave it a strategic advantage that outsiders rarely understood. These were the warriors, the chariot driven warriors of the Garamantes. This is the map that shows where they were, and then this is another shows the kingdom of Kush and other kingdom, and this is where Garamantes were empire, and then this other empires. The hidden cost of success. Here lies the most fascinating and, and tragic part of the story. The Garamantes' greatest strength eventually became their greatest weakness. The water they depended on was fossil water. Unlike rivers replenishing by rainfall, these underground reserves were finite. Every field they irrigated, every orchard they expanded, every new settlement they built, all dews, all drew from a source that nature was not replacing. In modern times, the Garamantes may have been one of history's earliest examples of underground water depletion. For centuries, their system worked brilliantly, but eventually the water table dropped. Tunnels had to be dug deeper. Maintenance became increasingly difficult. Agricultural production declined. The very technology that had created prosperity slowly began determining it, undermining it. The rubble of the Garamantes Empire. The rubble that is still standing thousands of years, Garamantes Empire, still the rubble that was built. A lesson from the ancient world. By the 7th century, the Garamantes Empire had largely faded from history. Its cities declined, its irrigation system fell into disrepair, The desert gradually reclaimed the landscape. Yet the story of the Garamantes is surprisingly modern. Today, many countries rely on underground aquifers to support agriculture in arid regions. Question about sustainability, water scarcity, and environmental management remain as important as ever. In a sense, the Garamantes were confronting 21st century challenges nearly 2,000 years ago. The Garamantes were more than a lost desert kingdom. They were engineers, innovators, and environmental pioneers. While other civilizations built monuments above the ground, the Garamantes built their greatest achievement beneath the sand. Their underground water system transformed one of the harshest places on earth into a thriving civilization. And although their cities eventually disappeared, their story remained one of humanity's most extraordinary example of ingenuity, adaptation, and the delicate balance between civilization and nature. The Garamantes did not conquer the desert for a the Garamantes did not conquer the desert for a brief moment in history. They convinced it to bloom.